Just a little bit about this important legislation being discussed on the Senate floor today. And this concerns the FISA legislation. Now, it has not passed into law, so that's important to recognize. But one of the amendments, and I believe it was put forth by Senator Dodd and Senator Feingold, was that the telecommunications companies should be held responsible for their acquiescence to U.S. government requests to keep surveillance on U.S. citizens and their communications in a domestic sphere. So this does not just concern communications from U.S. citizens overseas and so on, but it concerns all of our communications, whether it's telephone conversations, email, everything that goes basically over the telecommunications companies. And so the vote today was essentially 67 to 31. So some of our Democratic representatives have sided with Republicans on this issue and voted for immunity for these telecoms. And so that has passed the Senate. So I would urge you to look up who was basically voting against this amendment, a very important amendment. And from what I understand, Senator Obama was all for not giving immunity to the telecoms, so he voted in favor of the amendment. Senator Clinton did not cast a vote. She was not present during that vote. And, of course, it goes without saying that Senator McCain is all for the immunity of the telecoms here. Now, I urge you to look up the votes of your senators in your own states. And but what's more important, because this has not become law yet, you should be contacting your representatives in the House, because there was a preliminary vote on this amendment, the House version of it, in the House, and it passed by quite a wide margin. So the House is on board with this amendment, and so please contact your House members. There is a website called Fire Dog Lake. I'm going to be posting a link to it somewhere over there, and you can sign the petition to urge your House members to please vote in favor of this amendment to basically hold the telecoms responsible for this. And another issue I wanted to talk about today was basically an outrageous interview that Justice Antonin Scalia has given to the BBC. And I'm going to read from a little article here, which was published on several websites. Raw Story was one of them. Fire Dog Lake was another. And it's very important to listen to his words, because that is what the mindset is on the Supreme Court in coming from this particular justice. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia rejected the notion that U.S. courts have any control over the actions of U.S. interrogators at Guantanamo Bay. He argued that torture of detainees is not banned under the U.S. Constitution, and insisted that the High Court has no obligation to act as a moral beacon for other nations. Now, my interpretation of Justice Scalia's opinion on this is he probably presumes that he has the Supreme Court has no obligation to serve as a moral beacon for our own nation as well. We don't pretend to be some Western mullahs who decide what is right and wrong for the whole world, Scalia said. Anyone who has looked at recent events during the past 7 years probably would feel a little different about that. Scalia said that it was extraordinary to suggest that the Eighth Amendment, which prohibits the government from engaging in cruel and unusual punishment, could be applied to the actions of U.S. interrogators questioning foreign subjects detained overseas. Now, you and I could be, sometime in the future, perhaps be considered a foreign subject once the President of the United States decides that we are, for some reason or other, enemy combatants. And it's quite a scary prospect. Is it obvious that what can't be done for punishment can't be done to extract information from detainees, perhaps to benefit society? Scalia asked. The BBC's interview, which aired on Tuesday, suggested that it would be totally inappropriate for the Supreme Court to deliberately outlaw any technique such as waterboarding. Scalia said the critics of such tactics are wrong, and that essentially torture is usable in so-called ticking time scenarios. But not only that, and this is crucial, not only that, it is also to be allowed even when such pressing deadlines do not exist. So this is from the Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. One important thing, perhaps, during this upcoming election, and I'm not particularly happy with either of the front runners here. Certainly not, I'm not a Republican, so but I'm having great difficulties voting for the potential nominees here, either Clinton or Obama. One important thing, however, is the presidential power to appoint justices to the Supreme Court, who then uphold the law, so to say. And as difficult as it is sometimes to decide, that we need to take that into consideration, because it is a very important power. And I'm basically totally disgusted with the entire primary process already, because the media and the party establishments have already decided basically between just a few nominees, while other voices are not being heard. But that is something to consider, so I'd like you to consider it as well. It's probably one of the most important decisions we can make coming up in November, whether we actually decide to cast our vote anymore or not. And think about it long and hard. Especially, I'm not even sure whether we're going to have elections anymore in the future. The picture looks bleak, and perhaps it's just a sham, I get discouraged like some of you, and I'm not sure what to say tonight, but I hope you keep listening and try to think about these issues very long and hard. Thanks. I'll see you later.